We're gonna talk to some people, gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna talk to some people, gonna learn a lot of stuff. We're gonna talk to some people, gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna talk to some people, gonna learn a lot of stuff. Cause Kristin knows blank.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to a romantic episode of the Kristin Knows Blank podcast. Love is in the air. Maybe it's because my guest today is a self-proclaimed relationship expert. Maybe it's because Valentine's Day is coming up soon. Or maybe I just have that funny feeling downstairs. Either way, thanks for listening, and please take a second to like and subscribe to this podcast and follow it and friend it and do everything to make it feel special. I'm Kristin Key. I'm a comedian, I'm a musician, and I'm wearing a sweater right now. Please find me online too. I'm at KristinKey.com. I have social media. I'm on TikTok and Cameo and just about any funny named app that you can find. So be my friend. Now, I have such a fun episode today. My guest is a hilarious comedian. He's one of the hosts of the Social Distancing Social Club, and he's a self-proclaimed relationship expert. Hey, computer lady, play that interview with Chris Bowers.
Playing interview with Chris Bowers.
Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, no problem, man. I'm excited.
I'm excited. This is the Valentine's Day episode. I didn't know if you knew that or not.
Oh, well, that'll be perfect then if we're talking about relationships.
We are. You are my relationship expert this week. I know. So first off, I have to ask you, what qualifies you as a relationship expert?
I'm pretty good at them. I've been married twice. I've been in I've been with Chrissy for 10 years. So, I do think that a lot of times people think that anytime a relationship ends, it was bad. And I don't think that's the case. I think sometimes relationships are to take you to the next spot in your life. And it doesn't mean you have to be together for 70 years. You know what I mean? So,
I couldn't agree more. I don't think I would be in the relationship I am now, if I hadn't had some real duds to get here.
Yeah. I always say you don't get your soulmate when you're 17 because you'd fuck it up.
Some people do, and then they're still hanging in.
By the way, if it works out, it works out. I'm not against it. There are people that met. When you find your person, hold on. You know what I mean? I don't know. So, people make fun of me having 2 divorces. What are you good at relationships? Like, well, Coach K can't hit a 3. Doesn't mean he's not a good coach. I've been through all the shit. You know what I mean? So,
that's a really good part of this too. I think it's important to leave the bad ones just as it is to appreciate when you find a good one.
The hardest part of relationships is leaving a bad one. What I call a near miss, when it's close, when it's 9 out of 10. If they just would fucking shut the fuck up a little or whatever, but that's not it. You got to find your person who you don't want to shut the fuck up a little, even at all.
Right.
You got to find that person that fits, with you. So you got to find your match is what I say, And so the point is one of the biggest problems we have in relationships is that people think that any relationship can work if you just try hard enough. And that's not true. Right? The way I describe it is let's say you had a blue sock and a red sock. They don't match. No matter how hard those socks try, no matter how many times they go to counseling, no matter what they do, they don't match, right? And there's some socks that both are blue, but one has a gold toe and one has a silver toe. So in public, they look like they match, but you get home, take your shoes off, those motherfuckers don't match. You got to find your match. That's the key.
What a great analogy. The relationship like the silver-toed sock.
Just say it. Oh, okay, it was close. It was close. We're both the same hue of blue, but you've got a silver toe and I've got a gold toe. That's just, so you got to find, Chrissy, I've been with her 10 years now. We just finally matched together. My second wife was close. It was 9 out of 10. My first wife was terrible. It was 2 out of 10. It was a bad idea. But getting free from a bad relationship is, that's the show I want to do. I want to do a show called Relationship Intervention, where it's like intervention, but the thing you're addicted to is a terrible person you can't get away from.
Yes.
And the goal is to break you up. We want you to spend 90 days apart and see if all your fears came true.
I would watch that show. I would watch a show of people getting out of bad relationships because nothing's worse than watching a terrible relationship.
Oh, God. All your friends would read letters. All you do is talk about this dude. You hate him. He doesn't help you, or vice versa, or whatever. He's cheated on you 11 times. What are you doing? And then the goal would be to break him up for 90 days. And then the last act would be they come back and tell us, hey, did you miss him? Did all your fears come true? Did it get better? Because that's whenever everybody's out of a bad relationship, bad marriage, bad whatever, I'm always like, look, 6 months from right now today, you'll look back and think it's the greatest thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah.
It just takes some time to get free,
Not one of my exes. I don't ever think I would go back for just a minute. Maybe in high school, but that's because I had a 16-year-old body and I was like, I would like to be in that body doing those things, but not really.
Right. No, I get what I'm saying. When shit blows up, you got glass on you for a while, but once you get over it, once you get the glass all picked out of your skin, it's way better than being in a building that's exploding. That one doesn't
So
track
what
as well, but
so what makes a good relationship work? Like what are the fundamental things that make a good relationship work?
well, I think first and foremost, I think it's important for you to want them to be happy more than you, and vice versa, right? Like, so a pleaser dating a pleaser is pretty good. A pleaser dating a taker doesn't work because the taker takes too much, and the pleaser, I mean, they could work for a while, but eventually, and then and takers, that's always tough. I mean, you just want to make sure my goal is for Chrissy to be happy, even if I'm unhappy, and that's her goal too, and that's when it works because we're both trying to be selfless. We're both trying. I mean, I want her to pick me every day. I think that's one of the other things we do a problem in relationships is once we make a commitment, you get a ring or you're married. Now it's like, well, now you have to be with me, so I don't have to try anymore. And it's like, well, that's not how it works. I want her to pick me every day, and I want to pick her every day. And you do that by being a good person the day before.
Yeah. It is a choice. You wake up and say, I could leave at that's important for me. I don't like the idea of, I'm stuck here forever. I could leave any day. Any day I can walk out the door. I don't have to be in this relationship forever. But every day I choose to be here because I like it here. I like her. Yeah.
Yes. And part of that is I finally got over the fear that I had in my 20s and even my 30s of I'm no longer afraid of being alone. Now that doesn't mean that I'm going to be alone because I'm terrible alone. That's not my point. I'm not a person who's alone. And this pandemic, people been in their houses this whole time. No. That wouldn't be by themselves. I couldn't have handled it. Right. I need someone to bounce shit off.
And it's just pizza boxes and beer cans and like tuxedo pants. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I'm saying I do terribly by myself. I mean, I'm a person who always wants to be around people. But what I've realized is I'm a good dude and I'll find somebody to love me. If this doesn't work out, somebody else will love me, and somebody else will love Chrissy, and it'll be fine. Now, let's hope it does. I mean, every day it's great. I want more. But if it got to, my second wife, we were married for 10, we're together 10 years, married 4. We had a great time. Just at the end of when she turned 30, whatever, she decided she wanted to have a kid, and I just didn't want to have a kid. And so that's where it just kind of peeled off. So, if Chrissy, if either one of us became born again Christians or
let it be you. God, let it be you. This would be great. Yes.
Or whatever. I'm just saying if that became a thing, then the other one would leave. I mean, that's it. I'm not going to date a QAnon person. So as long as everything's working great. No. Exactly. Right. So I'm just saying, I think that I don't know. I think people focus too much on forever and not enough on today. And it's just like, how many relationships are broken? How many people break up because one of the people doesn't want to define it and the other one needs a definition because I can't handle it. It's like, just
tell me
down,
what we
man.
are.
Yeah, just today we're happy. I don't know what will be tomorrow. So how about,
I was skeptical. I was really skeptical about your relationship expertise. You're actually like, you know your stuff. Like, I'm impressed. Well, I'm like, this is all very good advice. Like, now I know why you and Chrissy have been together so long.
Well, and I appreciate that. I mean, also too, this is what I've been doing my whole life. Like in the dorm at 18 years old, 19 years old, I was the dude who went to the girls' floor and just hung out with girls all day and talked about their boyfriends and why they were dicks. I mean, I've been doing this for a very long time. So I kind of get from both perspectives just because.
Would you consider yourself a hopeless romantic?
I don't know what that means. What's that? Define that for me.
I know. I was about to ask you to define it too. My definition of hopeless romantic is someone that falls in love every time. I think that's how I would define it. Because I'm a hopeless romantic. I think that at some point, every person I dated, I would say I was in love with, for sure. I want to be in love. And I tried to match a lot of people to that feeling until eventually I found out, I don't know that fantasy of love is real,
Oh, it is. The difference is you have to separate it from sex. The problem is we try to find love in the people we and that doesn't always happen. So I have plenty of people I'm in love with that I don't and they're in love with me and I'm in love with them and it's fine. You know what I mean? Like I have 4 or 5 people that I love and they love me. And, if the apocalypse happens, I'm driving to get them. Yes. Like Steve, not so much Ben. No, I mean, there's some people like that. But what I learned, so this is one of the things that and this is something I've been working on for a minute, but like one of the problems that I had as a man is that I never learned, I don't know if I just didn't pay attention or no one taught me or what, but I never learned how to show affection to a woman without my tongue or my dick.
Okay.
And I've been working on the last 10 years to do that, where I can love a woman. I've been in a relationship. I don't need to. My friend Sarah, I love her. She's my best friend. I want to talk to her all the time. When I see her, I love. She loves me, but it has nothing to do with sex. It's not sexual at all. Just like there's buddies. My buddy Trevor, I love that dude, but like I don't know, part of me wants to him. So I just had to like take that mindset. Well, you love dudes that you don't want to do that with the women.
Well, you're talking about, though, this is something that I feel like as a lesbian, I've run into a lot with other lesbian friendships. And in fact, up until like a certain time in adulthood, every lesbian friendship I had usually led to some sort of sex or sexual tension because I didn't know how do I befriend another woman that likes women without, should we have sex? Like I didn't, right. And now that's exactly what you're saying. I had to learn how to have a buddy that I love, or like a soulmate that's not my sexual soulmate, you know?
Right. And I'm still working on it, but I mean, that's the thing that I realized that I'm like, oh, this is what's hurting me, is that me and you are really good friends. We've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, acquaintances, you know, but I mean, I think we're good friends. And
I do too. Yeah.
Like when I remember we hung out in Louisville one time and we were drinking and we were having a good time and whatever. And it's like, oh, I love Kristin Key. And I think I even knew you were gay. I think I did at that point. And it was still like, yeah, but how do I show her I love her without trying to kiss her? And it's like, well, shut up. That actually is worse. So just show her you love her by loving her. You know, it's like, it's not this, it doesn't have to be this thing, you know?
Right.
And so I think a lot of times and that's the thing too, I think a lot of times people in relationships, I think because people don't like people, they try to put all of their needs into one person. And that's just me. I mean, one person.
Good point. Yes. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. You gotta have other people. You gotta have other people you talk to about, you know, not just your spouse, but your everything. You know, you got people you hang out with, people you do stuff with. You can't have this person be your emotional rock, your sexual rock, your confidant, I mean, that's great. They can be all those things, but you also need to like spread it out a little bit, you know, because you're putting too much pressure on one person. I mean, my first marriage, the problem was she wanted me to be happy for both of us, and you can only be happy for yourself. You know, like when I was happy and we were doing stuff, she was happy. But the minute I was like off, not paying attention to her, she was sad. Well, I can't be in charge of your happiness 24 hours a day. That's not possible.
I think if you're listening right now and you remember one thing, I have found that to be the most helpful thing, is not to put every role into my wife. She does not have to be all of the roles. I have other people. When I first got sober, I tried to make her a sobriety buddy, and she was like, you need to talk to somebody else about that.
Right.
Like, and I was like offended. I talked to someone else, and they were like, she's right. She's not your sobriety buddy. She's your wife. Talk to your wife about wife stuff and couple stuff you have in commman, but she doesn't have to be my therapist. She doesn't have to be, I mean, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the other thing I'm working on, tell me if you think that this is the thing, a little theory I have that I just came up with last week. I think part of it too is whatever bullshit you bring into a relationship, like as a person. So let's say you're 20% crazy, whether it is OCD or, you know, you're real jealous, or you need the bed made every day, or whatever you got going on. We all have things that are like our things, right?
Meth.
Whatever number of those you have.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be meth. It could be a drug problem. It could be whatever. Let's say call it problems. Whatever problems you bring in personally, you have to accept that many problems from your partner, or it's not going to work.
That's good.
See? So like if you're like, you know, super jealous and they're super OCD, well, instead of bitching each other, just like accept each other and be like, okay, I'll accept your jealousy if you accept my OCD, or I'll work on my OCD if you work on your jealousy, but just do it the same, you know? And I've been trying to tell people this, a lot of friends I have that like are kind of bicker and fight a lot. I'm like, look, you're both 25% nuts. Just accept that. You accept their 25% in exchange for them accepting your 25%. That's the deal. And everyone I've talked to has agreed that their partner is 25% nuts, but they will not admit that they're 25% nuts. And that is the problem.
I think that at the beginning, when you were talking about finding your match, that is what your match is, though. It's the person that you go, okay, you do this, this, and this. I'm not crazy about it, but it's not a deal breaker. I'm going to let it go. I got to accept you as is. Yeah.
And in exchange, they're going to accept you for this, this, and that. And that's the trade. The trade is, hey, there's certain things that I do that are up. There's certain things you do that are up. We can either fix them together, or we can both be okay with them. We just have to pick. You know what I mean? So like that's... But we don't have that conversation. We just get mad at each other and argue for 15 years about dishes. Right? And that's the other thing is also, just because you have a thing doesn't mean I have to believe in that thing. It's totally fine. If you think the dishes need to be done or the bed needs to be made or whatever, that's great. Do it. But it shouldn't be my problem that your mom made you feel like an asshole if you didn't make the bed when you woke up. My mom didn't make me feel that way. I don't give a about whether the bed's made or not. Now, that being said, if I'm going to make the bed every morning to help you, then you should root for the Bengals and be on my team on Sunday and we're watching football, even if I hate football. So either trade it or mutually figure it out. Just make a plan is what I'm saying. Like a lot of times we don't talk about these things and we just get upset and we think people are doing things on purpose and we don't communicate enough to go, hey, I'm feeling like, give me a couple of weeks ago, we took mushrooms and you learn stuff on mushrooms. And so Chrissy and I were having a conversation and one of the things in my relationship with Angela, my second wife, was that when we started dating, I wasn't ready to be in a relationship yet. And also wasn't very touchy-feely. I just wasn't a cuddly person for whatever reason. I think it was because I didn't like my first wife and I just kind of got out of the habit of it maybe. And my first wife was the first girl who ever really dated me. So I never really had I never found that girl I just could cuddle. I didn't have that, right? And so initially when Angela started dating me, she would cuddle on me and I would kind of push her away just because I was like, and it was just a little bit, not a bunch, but that made her insecure. So it made her push more, which made me pull more. And eventually that chasm over 10 years opened up. So when I started dating Chrissy, I'm like, I'm not going to do that anymore. If she wants to cuddle, I'm going to cuddle. If she wants me to rub her head, I'm going to rub her head. If she wants to rub my head, I'm not going to be annoyed. Well, 10 years later, she says to me, I don't feel like we have as much intimacy as I want. Well, in my mind, I've been doing 150,000% more than I've ever done in my whole life.
Right.
But I realized in that moment, like I like to tickle and around and like I was a big brother. So I and I'm picking on you and I'm making you think things. I'm like telling you lies that I try to trick you and just fun to me. I don't know why. That's how I do with everybody. It's not just Chrissy, it's everybody I do that with. And what I realize is that if you take out all the tickling and me with her, there's only about 8% intimacy. So I'm like, all right, let's stop tickling. And because that, in my mind, that meant we were hanging out and I was touching and it was all a thing, but in her mind, it wasn't. So when she told me that, I was like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. That's not what I meant to do. I thought I was doing better. And so then the last month and she's like, oh, I felt heard and it made me feel good about, I said a thing and then you responded to it. But that's about communication is the key, you know? But again, that's after you pick the right person.
Right.
Like you can communicate with the wrong person over and over and over again, and you're just going to hit a brick wall. But once you find that person who gets you and you get them and you can talk those things through and you're not going to be upset with each other and you're going to figure out a way. And some people, their whole thing is they fight so they can better. If that's your thing, that's cool too. I'm not mad at you if you're a bickering couple.
It's never really worked for me. Yeah, no. We fight until I cry. I get my feelings hurt. We're probably not going to have sex.
Yeah, you're not going to raise your voice at me. I don't do that. My first wife would fucking scream at me and I'm like, all right, I'll be back in half an hour when you're ready to talk about this like an adult. And I would leave and I'd come back and have and I'm like, all right, sometimes I'd be gone I'd come back 4 or 5 times before she was ready to actually talk. But I'm like, I'm not going to be a relationship where you scream at me. I'm not going to do it.
Well, every relationship communicates a little bit different. I was going to ask you, I looked this up before this just for the sake of doing a deep dive on relationships. And I looked up the 5 love languages. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, if you haven't heard of the 5 love languages, it's a book you read right before you get divorced. It's a really good book, and I've read it twice. And
I just skimmed it. So are we gonna have a fight?
No. Love languages are good. They're great, and my second wife, I figured, basically what are they? There's touch.
Looks like
there's
gifts.
There's gifts.
Quality
there's
words of affirmation, physical touch, acts of service.
Yeah. So like Angela, my second wife. So the concept of the book is, one, you got to figure out what your love language is. Understand how you accept love, because the way you accept love or prefer to accept love is also how you like to give love. So sometimes people that speak different love languages, they're giving love in the wrong way. And the other partner doesn't interpret what they're doing as love, right? So you have to do 2 things. You have to find out what your love language is to ask for how you want to accept love. And you have to learn what their love language is so you can give them love in the way they want it. Meaning, I'm a very complimentary person. That's what I do. Angela
that's my love language.
Hated compliments. Yeah, that's my love language. Tell me I'm awesome.
Affirmation
that's
all day.
Nothing turns me on more than you thinking I'm awesome. That's great.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We speak the same love language. You're great, by the way. I'm so glad you're here. You're a marvelous man. Specimen of manhood right there.
So I would compliment Angela all the time, thinking that was telling her I loved her, but she wasn't accepting love that way because that actually embarrassed her and she didn't like it. But she wanted acts. So when I did the dishes, That said, I love you. So in my mind, doing the dishes, she was nagging me. What she was saying was, do you love me? But you don't love me. The dishes are in the sink. You don't love me. If you love me, the dishes wouldn't be in the sink, because that's what my love language is. So when I started doing the dishes because it showed love, it changed our relationship in a great way. I mean, and again, we're still really good friends, but that's...
I just discovered my wife's love language, and I haven't known it for 15 years. I think I should do the dishes.
I'm telling you, man, like there's people, and people have different, could have 2 or 3 or whatever. I mean, some people are gifts. I'm not a gift person. I don't need gifts. I don't give gifts. I'm not a gift. Don't bring shit on my birthday. Just show up and let's party. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, but Angela also wasn't a complimenter. She didn't like to, that's not what she does. She's, so I'm somebody who needs compliments. So that was my love language. So one of the things we worked on in counseling, and it worked for a while. I mean, eventually she just wanted to have a kid and I didn't, but when I would do the dishes to show her I loved her, then it worked, when she would compliment me, even though that wasn't her thing. And one of our went to counseling once, our counselor said, she was like, yeah, like I've seen couples all the time where the husband will say, I don't think you love me. And she's like, I do dishes. He's like, you haven't touched my dick in 2 years. And she's like, yeah, but I do your dishes and laundry every day. I cook all your meals. But he doesn't care about any of that. That's not how he feels love.
Right.
And so you can't fault someone for how they feel love. And if you love them, you just do the thing they need to feel it,
Right. It's a communication.
And then so the dishes stop becoming the dishes stop becoming a chore and start becoming an expression of love, and then it's pretty cool to do dishes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's time for
5 quick questions.
Because you're my relationship expert today, I came up with a relationship quiz. So I play a game on every podcast called 5 Quick Questions, and I have 5 quick questions for you. I want you to name the movie from the movie quote in the category rom-com. Question 1. Name the movie that this quote came from. We'll always have Paris.
Is that Casablanca?
It is Casablanca. All right.
Cool.
Question 1 down the hatch. 1 and 1.
By the way, never seen it. Just know that from pop culture.
Question 2. I wish I knew how to quit you.
That is from Brokeback Mountain.
That is from Brokeback Mountain.
Way to be on brand, Kristin. I appreciate that.
Thanks. I was trying to. I'm all of it. And you know what? I do apologize. That is not a rom-com. It's a rom. It's like a rom and tom.
It's a rom-com.
It's a rom-com. Question 3. Okay, it's a long one. I came here tonight because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
Ooh, I know that quote. Is that When Harry Met Sally?
It is. It's the last scene, and I love it. It's so good.
Wow. Yeah, I love that movie.
We're acing. Oh my God. And it's the best scene because he runs, and it's New Year's Eve, and he runs through all across New York to get to her at this party. And everybody's like, it's like a black tie party. And he just comes in his street clothes, and he runs up to her and says all this stuff. And he kind of insults her. He's like, I hate the way you do this, and then that's the line he says, though. It's very, very nice.
Nice.
Question 4. Don't forget, I'm also just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her.
Is that Love Actually?
Oh, so close. Notting Hill.
Oh, yes. It's the same guy, right?
I think so. I get those two confused, too, because I'm like, it's the same movie, isn't it? It's British. And
yeah, same thing.
I think that one had Julia Roberts. Was she in both of those?
I thought Notting Hill was the girl from Jerry Maguire.
Oh, God, who knows?
Bridget Jones' Diary. Who knows?
That's Bridget Jones's Diary for sure. Okay, so we're, what are we? 3 for 4. 3 for 4. Question 5. What do you want? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down. Hey, that's a pretty good idea. I'll give you the moon.
All I'm thinking of is The Honeymooners. But that's To the Moon, Alice. That's a different.
That's To the Moon, Alice. It's an old movie. It's black and white. Trying to give you hints without giving you hints.
Do the quote again.
What do you want? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
I got lucky with Casablanca. I don't really.
I'll give you the moon. It's Jimmy Stewart.
I don't know.
And It's a Wonderful Life.
Is that a rom-com?
It's not. It's just a romantic movie.
Okay.
So I think you have solidified. You are a relationship expert. 3 out of 4 ain't too shabby, and you certainly know your stuff. But my favorite part of the show is I always invite someone on and ask you to play a RadLib with me. And now it's time for RadLibs. I wrote a story and I left out some parts of speech. If you give me those parts of speech, together we're going to make a hilarious story. Are you ready to play RadLibs?
Let's do it. You might have to remind me what an adjective is. Let's go.
Great, because that's the first word. I need an adjective. It's a
That's like
descriptive
tall?
word. Yeah, it describes a
Like
noun.
tall?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Smelly.
Smelly. It's like tall, smelly.
I just wanted to get. I wasn't going to go with tall. Tall's a little boring, but smelly's more fun, I think.
Keeping me on my toes. A verb ending in ing.
Stalking.
Oh yeah, that's a really good one. We're off to a really good start. A period of time.
A nanosecond.
A piece of furniture.
A chifferobe.
What's that?
I don't know. It's from Kill Mockingbird. Remember? They had a chifferobe and
A
it's like a dresser.
robe. Okay.
It's like a
okay.
like a dresser.
Now I want one. I'm gonna shift a robe. An act of violence.
Biting. Speaking.
Oh,
of things
yeah.
you don't like.
Go with bite. Okay. An adjective again.
Happy. That's happy.
Yep. We got a few more. Let's see. U.S. city.
Birmingham, Alabama.
A feeling.
Can you spell that? No. All right. It's kind of a creepy like. Ha, ha, ha. That's what I'm going for. That chill that
Okay.
runs down you and that.
We go. Like that.
Oh, Jesus. That's
Okay,
That's
okay.
that.
A verb.
Swim.
An animal.
Cheetah.
A verb ending in ing.
Living.
Something a waiter says.
Really? No tip?
An occupation.
Proctologist.
Plural noun.
Boys.
Something you yell.
Hachi machi.
And a man's name.
Carl.
A body part.
Taint.
Taint. Yes. So it's no one ever says taint on the show. I like 20 elbows, no taint. This is the best day of my life. Thank you, Bowers, for bringing taint to Mad Mondays.
That's a leady drawing. Are you not into taint? That's the thing
Oh,
Ben
God.
said on the show.
There's anything Leedy can't do. I love it. I need a slang term for sex.
Hiding the banana.
And a family member?
Mom.
Perfect. A famous movie quote.
That's my boat.
We have a story. We have
a story.
a great story. Couple trouble? Ask Bowers.
I love it.
Oh, looks like someone wrote in. Dear Bowers, my smelly husband won't stop stalking. He does it every nanosecond, and I'm afraid he's going to ruin our chifferobe. I love him, but if he doesn't stop, I think I'm gonna bite him. What do I do? Sincerely, Happy in Birmingham. Bowers responds, well, when a man is feeling sometimes he has to swim. Asking him to stop would be like asking a cheetah to stop living. My advice. Really? No tip. Another letter came in, says, Dear Bowers, help! I think my wife is sleeping with my proctologist. The other night in bed, when we were making boys, she called out, Hachi machi, Carl! What do I do? Bowers responds, trust your taint. If you think your wife is playing hide the banana with her mom, like it says in that poem, love is never having to say, that's my boat.
That's my boat. Don't be putting that in her.
That's my boat. Stop playing hide the banana with your mom.
That's my boat.
That's my boat. Oh my God. I'm so excited. Please tell our audience and our listeners what we have coming up very soon, and everything that you want to plug, all your shows. Tell the audience all about what they can get into.
We have a podcast with the amazing Kristin Key next Wednesday, February 10th at nowherecomedyclub.com. You can buy your tickets at nowherecomedyclub.com. Me and Queen Rachel from the Social Distance Social Club, which you should also check that show out. We do that 4 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Kristin is a guest, every 5 shows probably now, every 2 weeks.
Show. Yeah, basically.
It's a lot of fun.
Anytime you'll have
Kristin kills it every time, and it's a great show. We do it. It's 3 o'clock Pacific, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then noon Pacific on Saturday. You can go to SDSCshow.com to get tickets or to just find a stream for free. So you can come in the front row and be in the Zoom and laugh with us, or you can just watch it on YouTube passively, and it's pretty fun. I have 4 albums, but I have 1 album that's just relationship stuff. If you want, search Chris Bowers on iTunes; they're all there.
You truly are a relationship expert. I mean, I so appreciate you coming out and enlightening us. Thank you so much.
I had a great time. Anytime you want me back, I'd love to be back.
Oh, I know you're an expert on many things, so you'll get tapped again for sure.
Interview complete. Shooting an arrow through Bauer's heart, like Cupid. But, murderier.
Thanks, computer lady. My guest meets another grisly end. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of the Kristin Knows Blank podcast. Big thanks to Chris Bowers for coming on. And if you like this podcast, hey, take a second to like it, subscribe to it, share it, comment on it. I'm Kristin Key. You can find me at kristinkey.com. Follow me on all my social media. Every week, I'll be bringing a new comedian to have a new expert topic. We'll do a chit chat, we'll play 5 quick questions, and we'll do a RadLib. Until next time, bye.
We're gonna talk to some people, gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna talk to some people, gonna learn a lot of stuff. We're gonna talk to some people, gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna talk to some people, gonna learn a lot of stuff. 'Cause Kristin